For those of you that weren't here, I'm doing a two-part series called Rise Up. And in that process, what I was talking about is this idea, or this thought, if you will, that we are a vibrational being. In other words, we are energy. And we talked about Einstein, and we talked about Tesla, and we talked about this idea how that we actually are a vibrational being. And the other thing we talked about is, what's really cool, is you can actually do something about it. And so I kind of did an overview of that. But I didn't get into the specifics because that's what we're going to do today. I also happen to mention that you may want to consider taking full responsibility for your vibration, for your energy, because you are energy. We are all energy, and things impact that energy. And finally, the last thing that I talked about is, might not be a bad idea to make it one of your top priorities. Why? Because you are worth it. That's why. So I started talking about this idea about how sacred it becomes, and I also talked about some friends of mine that I spent time with and how fun it is to be around people that vibrate at a very high level. It's an incredible experience. I am blessed with a lot of people in my life that are like that. My wife sitting in the back is probably one of my favorite people to hang out with. Why? Because she's incredible in terms of her ability to understand where her energy is, and when she knows she needs to do something about it, she'll stop on a dime and say, I need some time to take care of my energy. She's extremely protective of it, and it has taught me a tremendous amount about being aware of where my energy level is at, and not only has it taught me that, it's taught me what I can do about it. And so we started having this conversation, and one of the things I mentioned was this idea, this map of consciousness by David Hawkins. Some people have asked me for a copy of this, so I want you to know there's copies of it out in the lobby. So it's sitting on the table by the door. If we run out of copies, let me know. I'll make more copies. But what I was showing you specifically, and you might not be able to read this, is the one column where it says energetic log. That's right. You can measure energy. And so these higher level of emotions, peace, joy, love, reason, acceptance, higher level. And then you get down into the lower levels, grief, guilt, shame, very low levels. And you start to become aware of it. And then all of a sudden you can start to say, oh, so wait a minute, let me get this right. So whenever I'm experiencing guilt or shame or grief, then I'm really not doing a lot in terms of my energy. In other words, my energy level is low, and that I can actually do something about it to increase my level. Yes, you can. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So today, what we're going to talk about is this idea of, well, what impacts your vibration and what can you do to change it? So, what actually impacts your vibration? And I hate to cop out on this, but here's the answer. It depends. What do you mean it depends? It depends. So, I'm just going to share with you. I mentioned this last week. I talked about this idea of spiritual maturity, and I talked about how high of a priority you make it. And the two go hand in hand. So let me explain that. When I was younger, and my spiritual maturity was lower, by the way, there's no judgments there. I wasn't good, bad, right, or wrong. It just was what it was. So don't freak out. Some people do. I'm not saying it's anything other than what it was. It was lower. I didn't make my vibration a high priority. And because of the fact that I didn't make my vibration a high priority, guess what? A lot of things impacted my vibration. I could be driving in a car. Somebody could cut me off, and I'd go freaking out about that. I could get a report at work where my boss said, hey, you might want to think about that. I was devastated. Or somebody made some other stupid comment about it, and it would literally wipe me out for days, weeks, or months. It just depended. So my point is this, is that when you're spiritually immature, you generally don't take your vibration seriously, and as a result of it, what happens is you're impacted by a lot, especially other people, other places, and other things. Are we tracking this? Does this make sense? Good. All right. Again, as I started to mature, I started to realize, wow, so the more I work on myself, the more I work on my vibration, the less I'm impacted by it. So here's my conclusion about this. When you intentionally do things to raise your vibration on a consistent basis, what happens on the outside will impact you less and less. Do you get that? Do you understand it? How many people know exactly what I'm talking about? Yeah, a few hands. And so then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it. But then some people will go, I've heard this comment before, right? So wait a minute, let me get this right. So if I start doing this work, are you telling me that nothing is going to impact you? You're going to be like this emotionless robot that's going to be walking on the earth and nothing bothers you? And that's one of the most common mistakes people make. And by the way, just so you know, that's your ego trying to convince you not to do the work, in case you're wondering why it would even come up. So the ego is trying to convince you don't do it because you don't want to become like a robot. It couldn't be further from the truth. Just go back to Jesus. How many people remember what Jesus did when Lazarus died? What did he do? He cried. He wept. Shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. What did he do when he walked into the temple and saw the change makers? What did he do? He took the tables and he flipped them upside down. He was pissed. It doesn't mean you become a robot. It just means that you allow the emotions to flow through you and let them and experience them instead of shoving them down and not living in that experience. You understand, you come so critically aware and you fully understand your emotions. You understand what happens when they come up. You understand how to process them. You don't ignore them. You do not become like a robot. In fact, it's just the opposite. You are so alive and so present. You know every single moment what's going on inside of you, and you also know what you need to do to take care of that. How many people would want a little bit of that? Yes, yes, and yes, right? So then the question is, great, how do I do that? So the first thing that I did that I'll share with you, and by the way, just so you know, this is Mike's list. It may not be your list, and that's perfectly fine. But first of all, why not start identifying some things that actually raise your vibration, okay? So, for example, and I'm just going to start listing things off, right? There's a big list, because the more I sat there, the more I'm like, I got a lot of things that raise my vibration, right? Gratitude, probably the number one thing. You can study it. It's out there. The statistics are out there. The studies have been done. Gratitude is one of the highest things that you can do to raise your vibration. Gratitude. Oh, I don't know. Let's go into traditional unity stuff. How about meditation or going into silence? Anybody have a meditation or silence practice? Yeah? How many people do that? Yeah, not a bad thing. These, again, are things that raise my vibration. Prayer, affirmative prayer, yes. Again, where have we heard this before? Didn't I talk about Myrtle and Charles talking about this stuff? And many others. They weren't the only ones, right? Breath work, one of the favorite things I do, and I actually do a little bit of a combination of things because when I go into my morning meditations, often what I'm doing is I'm bringing in meditation, I'm bringing in prayer, and I'm also bringing in breath work. Why? For me personally, breath work will bring me into a vibrational state immediately. Normally what happens with meditation, how many people know this game? You got to sit there for 15 or 20 minutes before anything starts to happen. Breath work for me, instantaneously. I can do a few rounds of breath work and I am there, right there. So breath work is incredibly helpful. Grounding. Take your shoes off and go put them on Mother Earth for 10 minutes a day and just stand there. If you do that consistently, I'm telling you, you will notice a difference. It's amazing what that will do. That brings me to another point, nature. Nature. Go spend some time. Yes, go hug a tree. Go hug one. You'd be amazed what will happen if you do it. Exercise, movement is really important for me. I've got to move my body. I have to. For me, it's critically important for me to move my body. I wrote this down and I laughed because when I first wrote it down, I said, time with family, friends, and animals. But then I thought, wait a minute, it's not all friends, it's not all family, it's not all animals. So I had to write down healthy. Anybody got any unhealthy friends or unhealthy family when you go visit them? It is anything but raising your vibration. I've got a few of them. In fact, I got so many of them, if you want to borrow one, I'll gladly let you borrow one, okay? I limit the news and the politics I pay attention to. Why? There is nothing fun about any of it. Nothing. So I have to limit it where before I would spend a lot of time focusing on that stuff and I just refuse to do it. Why? Because it's divisive, it wants to talk about separation, and it wants to sit there and try to convince us how we can't get along, and I don't believe that. So I limit it. Self-love, compassion, and grace. Oh, you mean you actually love yourself, Mike, and you give yourself compassion and you offer yourself grace? Yes, I do. How about a positive mental attitude? Yeah, being positive. Thinking things are generally going to work out, being okay with it even if I don't know, spending time actually having a positive mental attitude. Good food and nutrition, add water up there too, lots of water. I'm taking care of my physical body, right? Yes, that helps. Music and art, singing, playing the piano, playing the guitar, singing, whatever it is for you, art. We were really, really blessed. My wife's grandfather is a famous artist in the Grand Rapids area. We've got his art hanging around our houses and everything, and I'm telling you, it has changed my life. I wasn't really into art, and now every time I walk by one of his pictures, I feel like I'm connecting to him. And it's such a blessing to be able to have that experience with art that I've never had before. It's incredible. Laughter, fun. Oh my God, don't forget to make this fun, folks. I know we come in here and it's kind of a serious thing. Have fun. Do something to make yourself laugh and go have fun, whatever that means for you. Adventure and travel. Oh my God. How many people love to travel? I'm addicted to it. I'm in wanderlust. I love to travel and have fun and just go on experiences, even if they're just going for a ride out to Saugatuck and spending an afternoon there and just doing that because it's so beautiful and so fun and getting out of the house and just doing something. Hugs. I love hugs. Do you love hugs? I love hugs. Yeah, hugs are amazing in terms of raising your vibration. Journaling. How many people journal? Yeah, journaling is so incredibly powerful to do some journaling. Setting goals. What's the next thing you're doing? If there's no next thing, I'm going to seriously suggest you take some time and figure out what the next thing is, because when you quit thinking whatever the next thing is or looking at the next thing, you quit living. When you quit living, literally, the life force of you starts to go away. It doesn't mean you need to go build the Taj Mahal. It just means have goals. Whatever your next thing is, depending on where you're at in your life, have some goals. Reading, learning. I have a confession. I'm addicted to learning and reading. Do I have anybody else that's with me on that one? Yeah, I love it. I can't get enough of it. Constantly wanting to do it. And when you look at this list, really what it's doing, if you really think about it, remember when we talked about the medicine wheel and the 4 bodies, emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical? What am I really doing here? I'm trying to take care of all those different aspects of me. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's when you start to really think about it. What is it for you? Now, I don't know. That's my list. Oh, speaking and teaching. Yeah, being up here is okay. I guess it's all right. Not bad, right? In case you don't know it, I have a lot of fun up here. So there's the list. So what else? Anybody have any other thoughts? There's more. What's that? Dancing. Thank you. Beautiful. Absolutely. What else? I know I hit a lot, but I know there's some more out there. How about spending time with your grandkids? Is that pretty cool? Charles? Storytelling. Beautiful. Love it. Anything else? So, again, this is my list. My suggestion, my invitation to you is, what would happen if you sat down and made a list of the things that raise your vibration? When I think about that, I think about, yes, there's the spiritual parts of it, meditation, prayer, and that kind of stuff like that, but I'm also talking about the other aspects of us. We can do things that will raise the vibration physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all of them, right? And then what do? Well, we're not done. Because I'm talking about things that are raising your vibration. But then guess what we need to look at? How about reduce or remove as many things as you can that drains your vibration? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have things in your life that are draining your vibration? Some people, some places, some things, all of the above. Listen, we all do. I'm included, just as well. But it's important that you know what those things are. And so I started thinking about that, and you know what the easiest thing for me to do was? This. When I don't do all the stuff that raises my vibration, when I don't practice gratitude, when I don't meditate, when I don't pray, when I don't do breath work, when I don't ground, when I don't walk in nature, when I don't do the list of stuff that's on there, guess what happens? right? Now, to take it to a whole nother level, including that, not only do I look at those things when I don't do them, that drains my vibration, I also started to include the biggies, the emotional parts. When I start playing with fear, when I start playing with anger, when I start playing with shame, when I start playing with guilt or blame. When I start engaging with that stuff, you talk about a do not stop, do not pass go, do not do anything, go right towards a lower vibration. Those are the ones that'll do it immediately. So I'm very, very sensitive when that stuff starts coming up. It's like, warning, Will Robinson, pay attention. You are officially starting to lower your vibration. And that's why I try to stay away from as much stuff as I can that's going to cause my vibration to go down. Does that mean I don't care? No, it doesn't mean I don't care. What it means is I care more about my vibration than I do about all the garbage that's going around with that other stuff. That's it, right? So, and blame. There we go. And apathy. So, the last piece of this is, it sounds great to do gratitude. It sounds great to do prayer and meditation. It sounds great to do all of these things. But what I have noticed is that there needs to be enough of it being done in order for it to make a difference, right? It's kind of like I've been talking about or kidding about this idea of you going to a gym and you walking in the door and looking at all the beautiful equipment and sitting there going, wow, that's great equipment. How cool is that? And then turning around and walking out of the gym, right? And nothing happening or changing. Well, it's the same thing with these spiritual tools we talk about, and it's also the same thing regarding some of these things. So what I did is I sat there and thought about it, and I put together roughly the time component, and how much of it do I need to do in order to keep my vibration high? And believe it or not, for me, for Mike, not anybody else, these are the things that help me out. Gratitude, 5 to 10 things per day. Meditation, minimally 20 to 30 minutes every single day. Prayer, because I include it with my meditation and breath work, the same. Grounding, I like to do it 2 to 3 times a week. Nature, 10 to 15 minutes every single day. Exercise, believe it or not, 6 days a week. Time with healthy friends and family, I do every day. News and politics, 5 to 10 minutes per day. That's it, period. It gets shut off after that. Self-love, compassion, and grace, 1 to 2 check-ins per day. So in other words, how am I doing? Hey, how am I doing right now? Am I okay? How's your day going, Mike? I literally ask myself that question. Right? And my mental attitude, I practice every day. Good food and nutrition, I'm paying attention to it every day. Music and art, I'm listening to music every day. Laughter and fun, I'm working on that one. I'm trying to incorporate it back into my life. I've kind of forgotten how to laugh and have fun, but we're working on it. I'm getting better, right? Adventure, we go on mini trips, 3 or 4 or 5 a year, with one big trip every 3 years. So every 3 years, my wife and I go away for about 3 weeks, and we go to some pretty amazing places, and we spend a lot of time there. And they're amazing trips, incredible trips. Hugs, 1 a day. Journaling, 2 to 3 times a week. Goals, I review every week. Reading and learning, 5 to 6 days per week. And speaking and training, 1 to 2 times per week. So, look, I don't need you to necessarily look at this thing and go, oh my God. But I just want you to know that there needs to be a certain amount of this done for it to make a difference. If you sit down and meditate once a month, I mean, good for you, but my question is it making a difference? And if it's not, I would suggest maybe you consider bumping it a little bit. And my experience is this. When you start playing with this stuff, you'll start to all of a sudden feel how much of it you need in order for it to be making a difference. And my suggestion is figure it out, because it's going to be different for each and every one of us. So spend some time. Figure out what it is that raises your vibration. Figure out the stuff that lowers your vibration. And then figure out how much of it you need to do in order for it to make sense. Right? So, to conclude this little 2-part thing about raising your vibration, I'm just going to repeat what I've been saying. You're a vibrational being. You can do something about it. Consider taking full responsibility for it. Make it, or I should say make you, one of your top priorities. Identify the things that raise your vibration, reduce or remove as many things as you can that drain it, and then go from there. So, has this been helpful? Yeah. Oh my God, you are so beautiful. and you matter. And I hope, if anything, what you walk away from is this understanding like, oh, you are so needed right now. But we need you to show up as the divine being that you are, the powerful divine being that you are. How do you do that? You pay attention to your vibration. And when your vibration isn't where it needs to be, then know that there's things that you can do that will change your vibration, whatever that looks like for you. And so I ask you, should you decide to do this, it'd be really fun to hear from you every now and then. How's your vibration doing? What are you doing to raise it? What have you learned? What have you figured out? Some of you like to join the groups that we have here, which is great. Some of you like to go to the dinners, which is great. Some of you go on amazing trips, which is fantastic and fun. A lot of you people do some really cool things. And so I'm just going to ask for you to consider to do that because ultimately, why? Because you're needed. We need you. We got a lot of work to do down here. There's a lot of people to help. And the higher and higher we raise that vibration, not only individually, but collectively, the more we're going to be able to help. Isn't that what you want to do? Ultimately, in my opinion, when you spend the time and you do the work on yourself and you start feeling better, at the end of it, the very last thing that you're going to want to do is help people. That is a natural response to healing. Now that you're feeling good about yourself, you want to give back. And that's what we want to do, individually and collectively. You are doing an amazing job. Even if you don't feel like you're doing an amazing job, you are doing an amazing job. I've said this, I'll say it a million times. It's not easy being here right now. Everything out there wants to try to tell you how crazy everything is and how much it's rattling, shaking, rattling, rolling. And that's why I think it's so important to shut that off and just go within, go within, go within, go within, and just figure out what you need to do to take care of yourself, to take care of your vibration, so that you can basically be at a pretty high level. And then that stuff starts to calm down. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. I'm grateful for each and every one of you, for everything that you bring, for all the light that you share, for just showing up as you. Like, that's pretty amazing. And we are all very fortunate, and we are all very blessed to have you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless. Namaste and Namaway. Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day, and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.